Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to make some Baek kimchi, white kimchi that is not spicy but super refreshing and delicious. Let's get started. I'm using 2 large napa cabbages. I've already split them in half. You're going to salt in between the thick white parts of the napa cabbage. Then put them in your salt brine for at least 4 to 6 hours, but I like to keep them overnight and just do it the next day. You can put another bowl or something heavy on top to keep them submerged, and you can flip it around a couple times throughout. And magically, it is the next day. Our cabbages should look like this, so if you bend it, they don't snap. They're super bendy and flexible. This is what we want. And we're gonna go ahead and rinse this a couple times in cold water. You wanna rinse off any excess salt. This part is the most important part that I say in making any type of kimchi. You wanna make sure that it is salted enough so it preserves correctly and longer, but you also don't want it overly salty where you can't eat it. With some practice, you'll get it just right. Now we wanna wring out any excess water. We're gonna put that to the side and let that continue to drain while we make our brine/sauce. Now let's prep. We're going to put about 1 cup and 3 tablespoons of glutinous rice flour. We're going to make a fairly loose paste. We don't want to make it too thick. Continuously stir so you don't have clumps, but if you get a few clumps, that's okay. Just press it against the edge and you should be fine. Once it comes to a boil, put that to the side to fully cool down. While that cools, I have 4 cups of water here and about a tablespoon of sea salt. Let that fully dissolve and put that to the side. In my blender, I have a large Korean pear that I chopped up. If you don't have, you can use a regular pear. And then I put in 1 medium onion and a small sliver of ginger, about like 1 inch. And then I'm putting about like 7 to 8 cloves of whole garlic. And you noticed I forgot to put the blades in, so we're gonna go ahead, put the blade in and put all the other ingredients back in. I'm gonna put a dash of water to get that going and make that nice and smooth. We're gonna blend it until we get a nice smooth consistency. Now I have here my milk nut bag. You can use a cheesecloth or whatever you have, but I love these milk nut bags. I use them for so many things. I'll link them below. I'm gonna pour all the contents we blended in there and kind of get that wet inside. Get some of those juices flowing. We're gonna squeeze all of that liquid out of that bag eventually, but just getting a little bit wet here. Then also add a cup of that paste that we made, fully cooled down. And then we're gonna shake it up in there and then start to squeeze out all that good juice. We don't want the pulp, we just want a clean, nice broth that we're going to use to pour into the kimchi. Keep squeezing, and you'll eventually get a pretty dry bag with the pulp inside. And we're gonna just discard this. I'm gonna add another tablespoon of sea salt. You can add more or less depending on taste. Now let's get prepping our filling, the vegetables. I'm using my mandolin here to julienne mu Korean radish. We're gonna need about 1.5 cups. The great thing about Korean cooking is you can adjust the taste for the most part. I'm adding another cup of chives that I also cut into like matchstick sizes. I have about 6 pitted jujubes that I julienned and a cup of carrots. I'm gonna sprinkle in about a teaspoon of salt and a tablespoon of fish sauce. Just toss that around lightly. And we are going to use this to put in our pechu, the cabbage. Just like regular kimchi, you want to put the filling in between the leaves. I'm generously putting our filling in between. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to place them into our jar. I'm using my glass jars that I normally use for all my kimchis. These don't last as long as the regular kimchi, but we'll talk about that later. You want to continue and repeat the process with all your cabbages and make sure they're nice and secure and tight in your jar. We don't really want them floating around. My 10-month-old son, Hyunwoo, already loves kimchi, so I'm excited to have him try this so I don't have to wash the other ones and give it to him like that. This one I can just give to him. Now I'm going to pour the brine that we made earlier over and make sure they're fully submerged and pressed down. Place the lid on, and I'm going to store it on my counter for about a day or two to ferment and then put it in the fridge. I would say this lasts about a month or so in the fridge. The regular kimchi with the red pepper paste does keep a little bit longer, but this is a must try. I'm going to leave it on the counter a couple days and then put it in the fridge. It's super refreshing, crunchy, and delicious. If you have younger kids or even adults that aren't used to the spice, this is a must try, and I'm sure they'll love it. I hope you all enjoyed that recipe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!